folks, TJ here. So you want to buy your first 8-bit computer, and you've come here for maybe watching a video to see what's TJ use or what's Joe Blow use. You're watching the internet, you're checking out the YouTubes, and you're trying to come up with, what am I gonna buy? Maybe it's your first 8-bit computer, or maybe it's your first 8-bit computer in a number of decades, because you're an old fart like me and haven't used an old computer for so long. You're getting back into it. You've seen a couple of YouTube videos going, oh, that looks like fun. I remember those good old days. Well, that's what this video is going to be about. And I'm going to call this video number 1 because I can't cover every platform in one video. I don't want to make the videos 5 hours long. I need to cover the bases pretty quickly to give you a general idea of what to look for. This first video is going to be about Atari. Now, this is not Atari gaming consoles. This is for computers. Computers meaning you get a keyboard, you could possibly buy cassette drives and floppy drives and printers and other peripherals to do real-world computing. Not a gaming system. Even though there's plenty of Atari cool gaming consoles, and maybe I'll do a video on that one day, this is strictly going to be on the older 8-bit computers. And it's going to be all about Atari. In future videos, I'll cover Sinclair. I'll cover other platforms that I've got somewhat in-depth knowledge on. We'll call it in-depth. But some platforms like Commodore, I don't. Because I'm not a Commodore guy. I'm an Atari guy. I'm a Sinclair guy. And I've got some other computers of fun too. And what will be fun about this is I'm a United States bloke. So in the United States, some of you will be here and you'll be going, why is that TJ guy use so many Sinclair computers? We'll also cover Sinclair because I do have a pretty good knowledge now of them. But this video is going to be about Atari. And why the heck do you want to buy an 8-bit computer anyway? Is your goal just to play a game or two and then stick it aside and never use it again? Well, maybe buying the real hardware is not for you. In my opinion, kind of a waste of money if you're going to play 1 or 2 games and let it sit. You can get emulators for Windows computers. You can get emulators for Windows, Mac, Linux, all these different variants. So if it's only a little taste you want, check out the emulators. They do a wonderful job. Me, myself, and I prefer the old hardware. I like the old metal. I like the old plastic. I love the old computers. They feel right, they look right, and they're fun to use. There's pros, there's cons, but at this point, we're going to chat about the real deal, not the emulators. But no, they are out there. So if you're just watching this like, I want to play this one old game that I used to do, check out an emulator. The odds are you can get the game online. You can play it on an emulator. You'll toot your horn for 5-10 minutes, and then you'll move aside and go on to other things. But if you're like me, that loves diving down rabbit holes and enjoys using things to a more fuller extent, then continue watching. So Atari, you think gaming, you think the original gaming company, and they were, but they also had a computer platform called the Atari 8-bit computers, and they made a lot of them from basically 1980 and on. For many years, they continued that 8-bit lineage forever. I'm going to rattle off some model names. I'll rattle off what I feel is probably the smartest idea to get in terms of a hardware, real computer. But again, take this all with a grain of salt. I'm just a dude on the internet. I did my own homework and I purchased what I wanted. Your homework may be different, so read, watch, learn, decipher, and figure out what's best for you, okay? But for me, I wanted something real. My first computer, and this is going to be step number 1. Are you of my age? Are you of the age that you were born into the 1970s, maybe 80s, when computing was vibrant and alive, and you remember either owning a computer that your parents got you or you bought, or that you always wanted one and never got it, that kind of thing. So go with your heart, go with your memory. What is it that you used? What is it that your friends had if you didn't have one? For me, I had a whole bunch of friends. We were nerdly. We seemed to all have different models of computers. Some of us had the same models, but others different. I was an Atari kid. I had to purchase my first own computer, and I liked the looks of the Atari 800. I've got mine over there, and I'm not going to bring it over here, but it was a tank. It was their first computers. They made the Atari 400 and Atari 800. in a beige type of box. I've made videos. Go back in the Wayback Machine and look at my channel. Type in my little search string on my channel, Atari, and you'll see I've made a ton of videos. I own an Atari 400. I own an 800. I own a lot of other models. But back in the day, I opted for buying the Atari 800. I purchased the 16K model because that's all I could afford. I eventually added some more memory. It could go up to 48K. Bitchin' computer, still a wonderful one to buy. And if you're more of a collector, occasional user, I would strive for buying and using the 800 because I think it's the bee's knees. It is well made. It's a tank. If King Kong threw it at Godzilla, Godzilla would be hurting for a few days. So I love the ruggedness of the old Atari 800. It's not the smartest one, I don't think, to buy. If you're going to be using it more and doing a lot of stuff, whether it be programming your own game or downloading all sorts of games or buying games and wanting the most capable, well, that would possibly be the 800 XL series. So, older computer they first came out with around 7980, or introduced it in 79, came out with it 80, is the Atari 400 or 800. 400's a neat, but it's going to kill your fingers. Don't buy one because it's a membrane keyboard. It's hard on your fingers. Not recommended. The 800, on the opposite, has a wonderful keyboard. It's got 2 cartridge slots. It's beefy. You could do some upgrades to it nowadays to make it even more powerful, but I have a stock 48K unit. Love the hell out of it. It is my favorite Atari computer. Moving on to the XL series, so the old 400, 800. XL came out afterwards. They had a 1200 XL, then they had a 600 XL, and then an 800 XL. Out of all those, you would think the 1200 XL is the most logical. It's got a bigger number. It's got to be better. But they're a little bit more unique. The keyboards are a little waffly on them. You're going to be doing some fixing. And in my opinion, the most upgradable, smartest, most compact, and I grabbed this one purposely because I think it is the smartest one to buy, is the Atari 800 XL. It is sleek looking, not as tanky, not as rugged as the 800 800, the original one, but the 800 XL is very expandable, very popular. You can buy all sorts of modern day enhancements for it. It looks cool, it's small, and it's got, the one that I have has 64K. So it's got more memory, which means the odds are there's that one game that you want to get that needs more memory. Having the extra memory in that is a good thing. So maybe splurging. In fact, it's hard to tell what the price is going to be, so I shouldn't say splurging, because it very well could be that you can find an older 800 that's going to be more than the 800 XL. It's all over the place. The world of retro computers or vintage computers, pricing is astronomically crazy. So if you find a good deal on anything, get it if you want to use it. But the 800 XL I have back here is wonderful. Very good computer, very expandable, very capable. So that's the one I would point you towards getting. The keyboard overall, there's different variants of things, but at least in my experience, the 2 I own, the keyboard was pretty good, never had any problems. But in my opinion, the 800, the older original one, the keyboard's rock solid, very good. But anything you buy, the con, they're old, like you and me. Or if you're old, I don't know if you're old, but things fall off one day you're walking and shit starts falling off your body and dangling where it shouldn't be dangling. Age means that stuff can die at any time. New stuff can die at any time too, but old stuff's got old capacitors, old parts. They've been around the block. They're 40 years old. Expect it to fail at some point. So if you're buying it and it hasn't been went through by a genius before you, odds are it's going to fail at some point. So be prepared that you may be without yours. That means if you fall in love with it, maybe having a second one won't hurt. To have one as a backup if you're using the hell out of it, if you catch my drift. So 800 XL, check that one out. They did, then Atari expanded to the XE line. They have the XE65, the 130, and then the XEGS, which is kind of a mix between a gaming console, but it's got an external keyboard on it. Very spongy keyboard, not the greatest, but it's a nice computer. It's a 64K model. Atari basically, kind of like a Volkswagen Bug, you know, they change little things, but under the hood, it's really similar, very similar. But there are some models that do offer some enhancements. The most powerful would be the 130 XE. It's got 130 megabytes of memory. Is that right? 130 or 128? See, I've already forgotten. I think it's 130. That's why they named it the 130. But I don't use my 130 much. I use my older Atari 800 the most, and the 800 XL second. I've got a 130 XE. It is a XE design, a little bit sleeker. It kind of has an Atari ST vibe to it, but it's kind of the last renditions of their 8-bit line. After that, they pretty much started moving on fully to 1632-bit, which are the Atari STs and Megas and Falcons and all those. We're not covering that in this video. This is 8-bit. So the 130 XE, the 65 XE, both nice. The XEGS, also cool. All of them are basically 64 or 130 megabyte models. And I should say kilobyte models, not megabyte. Did I say megabyte earlier? Slap me silly. It's not mega. You probably have been the last few minutes. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He said megabyte. Well, when you're making a video and you don't script it like me, you're going to say a few things that are off. So, no, not megabytes. K, like an old Specky, 48K, 16K, K. Okay, so 130K. I just spit all over that lens. So I believe the 130 XE is the last in their line of 8-bit computers. There's some other models that they announced, or maybe there's a few out there that really never hit the world, like the 1400 XL and 1450. I don't know if they, you see pictures of them, and maybe there's a few out there that some collectors have, but in every day you go on the eBay, you're going to find Atari 400, 800. You're going to find 600 XL, 800 XL, and 1200 XL, which those typically fetch a more pretty penny for whatever reason. Bigger keyboard, bigger design. Then they have the XE, which is the XEGS, or 65 or 130. I would say the 130 is a great computer to have. It is the most capable, I guess, in lack of a better words. Memory out of the box, ready to do anything you kind of throw at it. But in my opinion, 800 XL kind of rules the roost. And I would say check one of those out. Again, do your own homework, but those are the Atari computers. Now again, go back in time. What is it that you used? Go with your heart. If you owned a Commodore and you liked it, well, go that route. Why would you buy an Atari? Unless you're wanting to explore things like me. I love Atari, but I started playing with Sinclair and I fell in love with it. And I started playing with the Commodore and I didn't fall in love with it. See how is that? Didn't fall in love with it. I don't like them. They're ugly, but they're cool. I love all computers. I just like to razz my Commodore friends. But anyway, do what you go back in time. If you never owned one at all, then go off of memory. What did your friends own? I had a friend that owned Apple. He was a little bit more of a ritzy friend, but he had an Apple too. Those were cool. I had a friend that owned a ZX80 from Sinclair. Cool. I didn't buy one, but I was considering it back in the day. Definitely not in the same league as the other computers in the United States, like the Commodores and the Ataris, or the TRS-80s from Radio Shack. There's other brands and models out there. It's not just Apple, Commodore, and Atari. There's a TRS-80 line, and they had color computers as well. There's other ones out there, but this video was about Atari. If you type in 8-bit in the United States, you'll see there's Aquarius. Did you even know there was a computer made by Mattel called the Aquarius? I own one. You've been here on my channel. You've probably seen me make some videos. Cool computer. And yes, if you're going to buy a whole bunch of different computers and learn about each one, definitely explore them all. But if you're looking to get an Atari, hopefully what I just chatted about made sense. The model that I would, again, kind of recommend would be the 800 XL. No matter what you buy, I think ultimately you're going to have fun using it. There are some models that are better than others, keyboards that are better than others. Pros, a lot of fun to use, generally easy. You plug in a cartridge or buy a cassette drive or buy a floppy drive, connect it up, read the instructions that come with it, connect it all up and use it. And it's the real steel, so you should be able to play mostly anything that was designed for it. The con, it's old. It could fall apart. It may not work when it arrives to you. When you buy it on eBay, it's not a guarantee. You're buying something that could very well work one day and then die the next, or not work at all because that labor and shipping getting to you took the last little ounce out of it. So be prepared for these old computers. But I love my Ataris. Atari 800, the old original one, beautiful computer. I think if you bought that one or an 800 XL or any of the XEs, they're all pretty cool. I would just steer clear of... XEGS is really neat, and it's got an external keyboard, but that keyboard is... It's like hitting a sponge. It's worse than dead flesh on a Sinclair. It's like... Not too good, but it looks cool. It's got these pastel-y buttons on it, so it looks the part. It looks neat, but probably not the XE I would choose. I would say the 65 XE or the 130 XE would be the best choice. And again, K, not megabytes. I was giving it a little bit too much memory. What did I say? I don't have the memory. Anyway, that's it. Did I cover everything I think I wanted to cover? Ultimately, like I said, do your own homework. Read, watch other folks' videos. But I'm going to start making some videos like this and just chat about a few of the models, what my recommendations are. And I would say 800 XL. Yeah, it's a smart one. Thanks for watching. Bye.